If you're in the mood for real food, it's Concord Food Co-op.
All right, it is time to get informed. Welcome. It is Nazzy from the Pulse of New Hampshire. Welcome to the Concord Co-op Community Connections. With me, as always, Miss Kim Brandis. How are we today, Kim?
I'm good. How are you, Nazzy?
I am great. And this next guest that we have, I always feel a little smarter after we chat with her. So why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest today, Kim?
Sure. So we have Dr. Madalyn Otto. She's a naturopathic doctor and certified functional medicine practitioner. And her practice is located at Whole Health Concord on Broadway in Concord. And she specializes in getting to the root cause of illness and reducing dependency on medications and surgery. And you can contact her through their website at naturalmedicinenh.com.
Welcome, Dr. Madalyn.
Thank you.
All right. Now, before we get into today's subject, explain to us a little bit about what you do and how it's so very important. It goes along with just your overall good health picture. Explain to us a little bit about what you do.
So we function on somebody's healthcare team a bit differently from a primary care practitioner, for sure, and even from other specialists people are used to working with. So you go to your primary care doc, that's kind of usually your point of care person. They address a lot of acute things, and then they sort of triage your care and help, kind of be your one of your main people in terms of connecting all the different people that you're working with, and they do a lot of screening and preventative care, vaccines and screening and colonoscopies and mammograms and all that stuff. If you go to a specialist, there's a little bit more outside of that sort of acute realm and screening test realm, but they tend to focus on one part of the body. So what's different about this type of care is that I am a specialist in the state of New Hampshire. I'm not primary care, but we don't just focus on one part of the body. We're looking at the whole picture. And my job's really to zoom out and understand, how do we connect the dots here? Why does this person have high blood pressure and these hormone imbalance symptoms and, digestive problems and an autoimmune condition? What are the common denominators here, and how can we better treat the body, either add things in the body is missing or take things out that might be aggravating the body that's causing it to have these problems. So it's more natural based. We use a lot of lifestyle medicine, a lot of natural therapies, but it's really about that holistic kind of zooming out, understanding the big picture that makes us an important part of a healthcare team.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you're like a modern day detective. You investigate
Sherlock
all
Holmes.
Of the clues and you kind of piece things together. I watch a lot of CSI. So I completely understand what you do. Is it the same education as a primary care MD, or is it a different college altogether?
That's a really good question. So it's a different medical school altogether, but it is 4-year medical school, and I did go complete a residency. But the therapies, the way that I trained in clinical practice was using primarily natural tools with adjunctive pharmaceuticals, and I was trained in minor surgery, which I don't use, but but primarily using that natural toolbox in lifestyle medicine. So the emphasis and the sort of philosophy, if you will, is very different. So we don't replace the primary care by any means. We're definitely part of that healthcare team.
Yeah, I mean, it does take a whole team. A lot of times people will go to a primary care physician and they'll be like, I don't know. Here's a bunch of medication, where I do believe in the holistic approach. I do believe in that the body and Mother Nature can provide, and the answers are there. And I think what you do is an amazing service. And I urge anybody that isn't getting the answers they want to hear to check out Dr. Madalyn. I mean, it's true. I mean, plain and simple. That's the worst news you can get from a doctor. We don't know what's going on. Here's medicine.
That's
you know
true.
What I mean?
Yeah. Nobody likes to hear that.
No, I don't know. All right, let's get into today's subject. We're talking about immune health. And when it comes to immune health, there are a lot of natural, holistic ways to boost our immune system. Doctor, if you could talk about that for just a few minutes.
Yeah. So the point there being, what the word you used was boost, right? I think that's probably the most common word people use when they're trying to describe whatever it is we're trying to do here. So boost, sometimes I think it gets a little bit maybe overuse the term boost, but I also use it because I don't know what other word to use sometimes. But boost, amplify, support. I like the word support, but what we're trying to do is help the body do what it already does, but do it better. And especially in an era of COVID, where we see this particular type of microbe that actually really kind of brings to light the fact that sometimes our immune systems actually can be overactive at times, and be, work in an excessive way. What I do is not only support the immune system to be stronger in certain ways, but also attenuate the immune system and train it to not be overactive at the wrong times. So that's why I say sometimes boost might be overused, is we're really trying to regulate or provide more support for the immune system, so that, because our immune systems are pretty good at being able to determine when and how much to respond, but it can go wrong. Things can go awry. We can support that.
Absolutely. Yeah, Kim, I know you have a bunch of questions.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I know people always bring up how to boost your immune system, but what are some signs in the first place that you have a weak immune system or that it's not functioning correctly?
Probably the first thing we would think of is people who are frequently getting ill and having illnesses that are lingering on and on. So if you get a common cold, you got it from your spouse or your coworker and they got over it, but you're 3 weeks out and you're still sick, and 4 weeks later you got the next thing that comes around. That is a sign that we have a weaker immune system, or a person that's getting more severely sick or getting more severe illnesses, that other people should not be susceptible to.
Right. Interesting. Okay. And I mean, are there some natural herbs or natural foods that we can eat? And I don't want to use the word boost again. How about supercharge, especially if we're somebody our immune system is compromised, so we are always getting sick? Are there some foods that you can recommend, or even some beverages? I love, Kim, when we talk about teas and soup. We're getting into soup season. You know what I mean? So,
well, actually, so talking about food and tea, soup and tea is a good way to segue into how food can be operated as medicine in really specific ways, because tea is actually, the way we drink tea now is kind of cash, but historically tea is actually, there's a medicinal name for tea, and that's an infusion or a decoction, where traditionally in herbalism, much more concentrated amounts of herbs would be steeped in or extracted in a water extract, either boiled in, or depending on the type of the part of the plant used, would either be boiled in water or would just be steeped in water over a period of time to pull the medicinal properties from the plant. And when you consume really concentrated teas, I'm using air quotes here, teas or infusion decoctions more frequently, they actually do serve as medicines. So teas can be super medicinal. And soups I wanted to bring up because it's a water extraction too, technically, right? You're soaking or simmering a lot of times herbs in your soup, whether it's just garlic and onion, which are really therapeutic for the immune system to boost or supercharge the immune system. But also things like cloves and turmeric and cardamom and some of these other kind of spices that we think about that we use a lot of times in our soups.
All of those things that you just named remind me of my grandmother. She used all of those spices in her stews, her pasta sauces.
Yeah, they sound good.
This is that time of year, man. This is that hearty eating season.
Your grandmother had a good immune system.
She really did. She really did. She lived till, she was 90. She was 90. She lived till 90. You know what I mean? And
it must work then.
Listen, she's living testament. And this was before anybody had done any studies on it. She knew. And she also knew where to forage for it too. She also knew where to go to get a lot of these medicinal stews and teas. And she always had something, like if I was sick, she goes, wait a minute, I'll be right over. And she'd come over with something that just smelled horrid, and it worked. She knew. She wasn't a doctor. She never had a real job like that. What other herbs would be good to help rev up that immune system?
some of the herbs we think about, which and some of these in theory could be used in soups and stews too, but we think of more as in a capsule form or a tincture form that you might get at the co-op, places like that. But herbs like astragalus root, andrographis, mushrooms, actually, medicinal mushrooms is sort of a general broad-reaching class of not just the white little button mushrooms you get at the grocery store, but a lot of mushrooms from generally places, not necessarily local places, that have medicinal properties. Those are some kind of go-to in terms of herbs. But I don't want to forget about the key vitamins and minerals that are essential for our immune system to function, and that would be your heavy hitters are going to be vitamin C, selenium, vitamin D, and vitamin A. Within within the right doses.
Mm-hmm. I have my vitamin D every day.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Go ahead. I know you have more questions for Dr. Madalyn.
So is the strength of your immune system, is it more based off of like your lifestyle choices, or are you just born with a certain immune system and kind of stuck with it?
So no, you're not stuck with what you're quote unquote born with. There's so many factors involved. Certainly genetics plays a part, but a lot of it is lifestyle based. And when I say lifestyle, I would actually extend that to include the things that happen during your life. So for example, antibiotic exposure, every round of antibiotics, while they are a necessary and important part, of an arsenal of treatment options, unfortunately, they do wipe out a lot of your good bacteria, which is a huge part of regulating your immune system function. So the more antibiotics you take, typically, we can sort of generically assume that your immune system's under more duress in the long term. And so that would be, I would call that lifestyle. Your sleep, if you're chronically sleeping less than 7 hours a night, your immune system is impaired, no question about it.
Yeah.
So things like that, in addition to diet and exercise, are absolute game changers. If I've got somebody coming in with a weak immune system and those two, they're frequently on antibiotics or using antibiotics a little bit too liberally, or if they're not sleeping enough, we've got to change that first.
Yeah, sleep has so much to do with your well-being, and a lot of people don't really know that. They're like, "Oh, I just had a bad night's sleep." No. That can affect your whole system.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Especially multiple nights in a row, if you're really getting broken sleep, that makes you, really susceptible to some of these things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I need to get at least 8 hours every night, or I have a headache the next day. I don't drink caffeine, so I really need to get my sleep.
Yeah.
Just for the record, caffeine does not replace your sleep, but I hear what you're saying.
Helps get you tired. Yeah, that's true. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, so we talked about weak immune systems, but you also mentioned briefly like an overreactive or overactive immune system.
Mm-hmm.
How would you know if you had that, and what would that kind of cause to happen?
There are actually some health conditions that are indicative of having an overactive immune response. And so there's kind of two general categories of overactivity. One is overreacting to things on the outside of the body, and the other is overreacting to itself. So that second one is autoimmune conditions, when the immune system is over responding to its own tissues or something inside the body already. And then overreacting to the outside is allergic disease. So people who have really severe allergies, asthma, multiple mast cell disorder. So that's kind of your immune system going crazy to things in the environment that are coming into contact with the body. So those would be ways that that your immune system is kind of needs to be retrained away from overacting.
What is it possible to, if you're trying to beef up your immune system, is it possible to take too many minerals, too much vitamins, and what happens to your body when you do that? Does it just shed it right out, or what happens?
To some degree, it depends on which vitamin and mineral. So there are certain nutrients that, like vitamin C, for example, when you're taking it orally, you can't really overdo it because you'll just get diarrhea and your body will you'll just end up pulling water into your gut and having diarrhea. So same thing with magnesium. Other minerals or vitamins like vitamin A, for example, is extremely toxic if it's not taken at the appropriate dose, if you take too much of it or eat too much of it. And it can actually cause liver failure. So there's two extremes there. And in the between, we have lots of nutrients that when taken too high of doses can be a problem. So this, for sure, if someone's taking supplements and they're not being guided by a professional, they could end up taking a few different things that seem totally different. But if they all have vitamin B6 in them, you could end up with neuropathy because you have too much B6 in your body. Or
and your body can't just shed it right out. It can't just.
Not all of them.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them, yeah. It really depends on the way that they're metabolized, and also on the gut, because our gut is a good barrier. It's like when you eat a food that's poisonous, right? Your body does a good job of making you nauseous and having you want to evacuate, right? But it's not perfect. There are certain nutrients that sort of slip by our security forces, and they do get absorbed in doses that can be dangerous.
Wow. Kim, I want to talk for a moment about some of the products that you guys have at the co-op that can help with our immune system. What do you guys have for sale?
Well, we have any kind of vitamin you could think of. We have lots of different teas, mushrooms. We even, in our health and beauty department, we have some mushroom powders to make drinks and chaga teas. We really have anything that you could want.
Really
chaga tea is a great, I love chaga tea, and especially mixed with a little chicory for a coffee substitute for people who are trying to become less dependent on caffeine. Chaga is a nice feed two birds with one seed there. Support your immune system and also knock down your coffee habit.
As Dr. Madalyn is drinking her coffee.
My tea.
She keeps pulling her mug into the shot. I promise.
Hypocrite.
Right? She practices what she preaches. That's really cool. And Kim, are these products available online? So if we're still not feeling comfortable coming in, we can still purchase them online.
Yep. So we have Co-op eShop. All of our products are available. You can order online, pay online, and then you just pick up curbside. Or if you're in the Concord area, you can get them delivered with DoorDash as well.
What? DoorDash delivers it?
Yep.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
This is making it super easy for me to be a hermit. I'm thinking about locking myself. I'll order some DoorDash. I'll get my vitamins, minerals from the co-op, and I'll never have to leave again.
You can visit us via telemedicine if you'd like while you're at
it. I haven't seen anybody face-to-face in over a year. We've got a few moments left. Please tell us a little bit about your practice and anybody who's maybe curious on how you could help change their life for the better.
So our practice is, we're a specialty practice. We are covered by a lot of insurance plans. So if you have Cigna, Harvard Pilgrim, certain Anthem plans, you might be able to get coverage for the insurance. We work with the rest of your healthcare team. We don't necessarily replace it. And so that is something that people should know. They're not kind of switching doctors. They're just approaching their health from adding a different vantage point into their healthcare team. We do offer telemedicine and in-person appointments at this time. And I forget the other part of your question.
If somebody's thinking about switching and maybe finding more.
Yeah, so we also offer free 10-minute consults for somebody where this kind of piques their interest. They're kind of interested in the idea of adding a functional medicine provider, a naturopathic doctor to their team. They want to kind of understand if what they're dealing with is something that we can help with. We do offer that by phone, so you can make a consult appointment and we can chat and see if we'll get fit for you before you actually set up a full appointment. So you just can call or email the office about that if you're interested.
All right, give out the phone number and the website, please.
Our phone number is 369-4626, and our website is naturalmedicinenh.com.
And finally, what are your hours?
We're open for patient appointments Tuesday through Friday, essentially 9 to 5.
All right, excellent, very good. All right, Kim, the final minute, it belongs to you and the co-op. Take it away.
Okay. Well, I know it seems really early, but you can order your fresh, natural, local Thanksgiving turkeys from Vermont. If you don't want to cook your own turkey, you can order a whole prepared meal made by our chefs. And we also have pies and rolls and all that stuff. What else? You have another week to round up for this month's recipient, which is the Concord Coalition to End Homelessness. And you can visit us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or www.concordfoodcoop.coop for information on all of that stuff.
You guys are on TikTok now, huh?
Yeah, we're trying.
You're getting there. It takes a little getting used to. You've got to do some silly videos. You've got to do some duets and some lip syncs, and you'll be there. All right. Well, Dr. Madalyn Otto, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. And Kim, thank you. We will see you next week.
Thank you.
It's Nazzy for the Concord Co-op Community Connections on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
If you're in the mood for real food, it's Concord Food Co-op.